What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about going back into God of War 2018. So I did the same thing. I made a video like this for Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and I like the idea. You guys seem to have responded pretty well to it, so let's try it again for God of War. So I'm going back in. As of the time I'm recording this, I played it last night. I put in about 3 hours into the game, and this is, I've been doing this recently. I go back into it, and God of War makes a lot of sense, and we'll talk about, obviously, why in a second, but I like to play through it, record some of it, and then make a retrospective like video on the main channel and kind of put more work into it, more editing, all that kind of stuff. So that next up, I guess, is God of War. Actually, Assassin's Creed Black Flag will be the next retrospective video you see, but God of War, this story of going back into God of War, so let me talk about really quickly where I was with the franchise when the game had come out. So I love God of War to death. Going into God of War 3, right before God of War 3, is actually where I first played pretty much all of them to completion. I had played, I remember very vividly, God of War 1 when I was young. I had to have been maybe, oh my God, 9, 10, 11 years old maybe for God of War 1, and I remember playing it just a lot. I actually watched a friend of mine play it, and then, years later for God of War 3, that's when I played, and I just went back and I played them all, including then God of War 3. So for this one, for 2018, obviously I was very, very excited. It's one of my favorite franchises of all time. And obviously a very different, direction they went with this one, which is okay. And, I can tell you playing it 3 hours again, replaying it, it takes a little bit. It's obviously not the same thing as God of War 3, but I do like the combat. I like the one shot, how everything kind of just leads into the next thing. There's a lot of cool concepts and ideas with this game. But when it first released, really, and I say this for a lot of games because it's true and it did happen, it came out during a time in my life where I just didn't beat games. Even some of my favorite games of all time, like God of War, or God of War as a franchise, this was one of the casualties too. I guess it really took a game like Uncharted 4 back in the day in 2016. That game I played through. I actually beat that game like 2 days after it came out. But God of War, it took me a little while. It wasn't an example of me starting it, playing it for 5 hours, and then never coming back, or coming back years later. But it was an example of me playing it quite a bit for the first month, I would say. I would just kind of come in and out, and not really a lot of time being put into it. And then I would say around like a May or June is when I fully completed it. So this wasn't an example, of me beating it, overnight or within the first week, but it's also not an example of me beating it, months and months and months or years afterwards. So it has been, still to this day, it's been over 4 years since I've touched the thing. And even when I did play it, I'm finding out I really didn't do much of the side stuff. Even the very beginning, kind of when it starts to open up with the world serpent, and you're able to go around and do like the quest where you light the beacons and help like the stray ghosts, right? I don't think I did that, or at least maybe I did one of the 4, but I didn't do all 4. So I know like the Valkyries, I think maybe I killed 2 or 3 of them, but I didn't do all 9. So there was plenty to this game that I just kind of skipped over altogether. And specifically now, and why I really wanted to, I guess, make it a point to replay it, not just to experience it again and to kind of refamiliarize myself with everything, but also the lore, right? There's a lot of detailed stuff in this game that gets told to you, so you have to listen to it. You don't necessarily see it. And a lot of the backstory, of Kratos getting there, or, Atreus being born, and just the years that have passed, who these characters really are. Yes, I know a lot of this stuff already because I've looked it up or I caught it the first time, but there is quite a few stories when it comes to Odin or Tyr or, whoever, and a lot of it's told to you, verbally. So I'm doing my best to stay off my phone when playing it and just play the game and try to listen to everything, happening, because I'm sure, some of the stuff obviously is going to come back in Ragnarok, and it's going to be, I would say, beneficial to know some of the deeper lore of what's going on. Obviously, you can know Norse mythology in general, but also, this version of it, let's say, how they're doing it. So I'm having a blast the first 3 hours. This game is super cinematic. There is a part of me that misses. There really is. And I'm sure I'll mention this in the retrospective video as well. There's a part of me that misses the old time God of War. I don't think I'd ever say the combat that they did and the combat system that they did here is better than the one they did back then. It's completely different, so it's hard to compare them because they really aren't the same. And I would maybe almost put them on, like, I kind of like them equally, but I'd maybe even lean more towards, God of War 3 was like the king, and it came out and it just continued to establish itself, and it really did set the goal for this hack and slash kind of thing. And it seems like this is a worthy, where like the lineage would go, how Kratos moves and plays and I guess fights in this one. It also doesn't have like the fight with Baldur in the beginning is like insane, and again the no cuts and everything kind of just like goes into the next thing is awesome. There is you are kind of missing like the grandness of God of War 3, but at the same time, like, this was the first game. Obviously Ragnarok is gonna be I would imagine is the best elements and the new things that they've done in God of War 2018, mixed with like the epicness, like everything being just so like larger than life that we had with God of War 3. I imagine Ragnarok is that mixture, because God of War 2018, you don't start out climbing up Gaia, climbing up Mount Olympus, fighting Poseidon, going into Hades, killing just a god every hour. And you can't expect that, right? But it's a different tone. It's a completely different kind of feel to it. So, and I imagine, again, Ragnarok is going to be, if you start off by fighting Thor, even though I don't think you'd kill him right there, just fighting Thor in the beginning, that would be, I think, much more like fighting Poseidon in God of War 3, mixed with obviously the combat style and the visual style that these new God of War games do. So I'm happy to be back. I'm fully expecting to do a lot more. I don't think I'm going to platinum it. I don't think I'm going to do every single thing. I'm going to do what kind of feels natural for me to do. But I think it took me 23 hours into this game the first time around. So whatever I end up doing that first time, the story plus whatever miscellaneous things, took me 23 hours. If I'm going to be doing it again and doing the side stuff too, I imagine this is going to take 26, 27, 28, getting closer to that 30 mark. So a couple of weeks, I'll do a retrospective of this game on the main channel, and then within a month after that, I'll beat the game, and then about actually less than a month, Ragnarok is out. So that'll be very good to, get my legs, underneath me, and then get right into the next game. And then hopefully, a game of the year contender at the least. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I'll see you all on tomorrow's video.